As we begin, let's recite a Surah Fatiha and ask Allah to give the thawab to all of the marhameen, the deceased from our families, our communities, our friends, the ulama, the shuhada, especially the 200 plus shuhada who were killed in Afghanistan on Friday, for their thawab, and for all of those who have given their lives in the love of Ali Muhammad. Surah Mubarakatul Fatiha with one salawat upon Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen ar-Rahman ar-Rahim Maliki yawmiddin. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. صدق الله العلي العظيم. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل نعم المولى ونعم النصير. فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء وسيد المرسلين وشفيع المذنبين سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا وشفيع ذنوبنا أبي القاسم محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد عجل فرجهم. والصلاة والسلام على أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين المنتجبين، لا سيما مولانا وسيدي صاحب العصر والزمان روحي وأرواح العالمين له الفداء، وأجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف، ولعنة دائمة على أعدائهم ومنكذي فضائلهم الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد، فقد قال الله الحكيم في كتابه المبين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. صدق الله العلي العظيم. For the hastening of the return of our Toth Imam Al-Hujjah and an end to oppression and tyranny around this earth, one loud salawat upon Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. We begin by thanking Allah for giving us this opportunity to again commemorate the tragedy of Karbala. And indeed, even when we recite the ziyarat of Ashura, we thank Allah, where we say, Allahumma lakal hamdu, hamda shakirina laka ala musabihim. That we thank Allah for having given us this opportunity to commemorate the tragedy of Karbala. And it seems a bit of an paradox or an oxymoron to thank Allah for a tragedy like the tragedy of Karbala. But when we as believers, when we delve deep into the mysteries of the tragedy of Karbala and the sacrifice of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein and the family and the companions of Hussein, peace be upon all of them, we realize why we should be thanking Allah for this blessing. Tonight, for the time that I have, I want to look at a topic that is relevant to all of us today. It is relevant to all of us from the time that we come of age until the time that we leave this world. It's a topic which people will spend literally thousands of dollars trying to acquire. People will take seminars, people will go to conferences, people will spend money buying books on this one particular topic in the hopes that they can attain what the goal they set out is. What I'm talking about is success. Success is something that everybody in this world is looking for. If you ask a young boy in the audience today who's into sports, maybe they'll say, my goal or my position of success is to score a hat trick in a game. If you play basketball, maybe you're looking for the most triple doubles. If you're a football player, you're looking for more touchdowns in a game, to be an MVP for your team. And as we get older, we get to be in our preteens, teens, university, we graduate, we get a job, a career. Our focus in life now begins to change. Our success is no longer, how many points we can score in a baseball game. It's not how many games of pool I can win. It's none of this. Now our success is measured in terms of our bank balance. How much money can I make? We get our first million, it's not enough. We want our second million, it's still not enough. We want more and more and more. We get our luxury condo or luxury home, we want a second house. We get our BMW or our Merc. Now we want to move up, maybe get a Aventador, a Lamborghini or a Ferrari or a Bentley or whatever we want. Our success is always measured in terms of the dunya, of our material world. What can I get from this world to be successful? I get the house, I get the car, I get the trophy wife or the trophy husband. I've got kids. I've got my condo in Florida. I'm doing good for myself. Is that what success is? And I said, we spend millions. People will go to people like Anthony Robbins. We'll attend seminars by Bill Clinton, paying hundreds of dollars to sit at a table to learn the secrets of success. But the verse I began with is free. It's a free verse I'm giving you tonight that Allah gave to us to give you and I the secret of what true success is in this world. Allah didn't say about wealth, about cars, about popularity. He makes it very clear in chapter 33, Surah Al-Ahzab, a chapter we're all acquainted with, because Surah Al-Ahzab we read every year on the day of Ashura. If we perform the 2 rakat namaz of Ashura, we read Surah Al-Ahzab. If we read the ayat of Tathir, we've read Surah Al-Ahzab, we've read that portion. But in chapter 33, Surah Al-Ahzab, verse number 71, the end portion, Allah tells us, وَمَن يُطِعِ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ, whoever, man or woman, young or old, black or white, whoever obeys Allah and His Messenger, فَقَدْ فَازَ فَوْزًا عَظِيمًا, indeed they have attained the best level of success they could ever hope to accomplish. It's free information from Allah. Allah is not asking for any kind of credit, any kind of bonus for Him giving us the answer of what success is. But the problem is for everybody, if I were to poll everybody in this room, and the ladies and the men, and ask what is your definition of success, I am certain that we would get as many answers as we have people here tonight. Because all of us are looking at success in our own way. Maybe for some it's purely material. Maybe for some it's only of the spiritual. Maybe some are wise and so they'll look at success partially in the dunya, in the world, and partially in the world to come. After all, every day in namaz, what do we say? رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. Oh Allah, give me the good of the world. We have to live in the world. Live in the world as if we're going to live forever. But we also ask Allah for goodness in the world to come. And so the hadith says, live for the akhirat as if you're going to die tomorrow. But balance the life. Balance the life of this world with the life to come. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. But us as followers of the Ahlul Bayt, and especially those who call ourselves Hussaini, we come from day number 1 of Muharram until Ashura, until Arba'een, until 9th of Rabiul Awwal. 69 days we lament, we cry, we beat our chest, we cry over the tragedy of Karbala. Every time that we gather, or at least on a Thursday night, we recite a particular line from a ziyarat that is tied to the verse that I began with. The Quran says, those who follow Allah and the Rasul, that they will attain success, victory, they will reach their goal in life. But in Ziyarat Waratha that we recite religiously every Thursday night, we have a similar concept where we say, فَيَا لَيْتَنِي كُنْتُ مَعَكُمْ فَنَفُوزَ مَعَكُمْ. We address Sayyid al-Shuhada. And this is not a simple thing if you think about it for a minute. Every Thursday night we recite Ziyarat Waratha, the ziyarat of the inheritor, Sayyid al-Shuhada being the inheritor of all of the previous prophets that came before him. Adam and Nuh and Musa and Isa and Ibrahim and Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. And every Thursday night we say to Sayyid al-Shuhada, I wish I was there with you and we as a collective would have achieved a great success. It's something that we hopefully are thinking about when we recite this line, because we're making Sayyid al-Shuhada a promise that were we to be there on the day of Ashura, we would have been with you in your army. We wouldn't have been with Umar ibn Sa'd Mal'un and Shimr and and all of those evil individuals, la'natullah alayhim ajma'een. We make a promise to him that were we there, our success would have been in giving up our life for his cause. It's something for us to think about. If we haven't yet thought about that line, when we read it every week, that would we be ready? Were we there? No, actually, let me change the question. Are we ready today when our 12th Imam returns? Are we ready to stand with the 12th Imam and say that I'm going to be there with you and I will achieve a success with you? Because Karbala is over. Let's face it. 1378 some odd years ago, Karbala transpired. It's done. It's over with. We can't travel back in time. This isn't Back to the Future where we can step into a car and go back and relive the tragedy of Karbala. But we have an Imam that's waiting for us. And if we are willing to tell Sayyid al-Shuhada that if I was there with you, I would have been successful alongside of you, we have to sincerely ask ourselves tonight and every morning, are we ready for the 12th Imam? If he were to come tomorrow, although hadith say he will come on Ashura Day, which is a Saturday. You can look in the calendar and figure that out when the next Ashura will be a Saturday. But let's just say Allah decides to change everything around. Allah changes the entire workings of the world, and He says, I'm going to let him come tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock, Edmonton time. Would we be ready to accept the Imam into our lives and fulfill this pledge we've been saying every day, every week, every month, every year in Ziyarat of Warith? I want to answer this question by bringing about two qualities that were seen in the companions of Sayyid al-Shuhada. And the qualities I'm going to bring up are not my own concoction. I didn't just pull them out of a hat or an amama and bring them tonight. I'm basing this on the words of Sayyid al-Shuhada. What did he say to his companions when he was looking for people to be there with him on the day of Ashura? Because what better way for you and I, men and women alike, to find out what the 12th Imam needs? But, what better way than by asking Sayyid al-Shuhada, who has such a close affinity to the 12th Imam. This is a topic that our ulama, the true ulama, scholars who have dedicated their lives to Islam, they've written maybe volumes, I can say, on the very intrinsic nature of the relationship between Sayyid al-Shuhada and the 12th Imam. There's a lot of things that they share in common and a lot of ways that they are interrelated to one another. To give you just one example tonight, we know that when the 12th Imam returns, he will establish a government. Eventually, our 12th Imam will die, or according to some traditions, he will be killed. What happens? Is that the end of the world? Of course not. Every Imam, from the 1st to the 11th, will be brought back to life again. Raj'at. Come back one after the other after the other. What order? We don't know. The hadith don't tell us what order the Imams will come back in. But the one thing we do know from the hadith, if they're authentic, is the 3rd Imam, Sayyid al-Shuhada, will be the first one to come back, and he will give the ghusl and kafan and bury the 12th Imam. It shows that there is a close affinity. Why not the 11th Imam? That's his father. Why not the 1st Imam, Amir al-Mu'mineen? We don't know. But there is a secret connection, relation between Sayyid al-Shuhada and Imam al-Zaman, our Imam. And so we need to look at the traits that the 3rd Imam talked about if we want to be within the ranks of the helpers of the 12th Imam, Imam al-Hujjah, Ajjalallahu ta'ala farajahu sharif. Does the Imam only require men who have physical strength? Does the Imam require only women? Because hadith tell us 50 women will be out of that 313. 313 number, 50 of those are women, the rest are men. Is the Imam only looking for men and women who are bodybuilders, who have a good six-pack, who got big biceps, who can run a marathon? Is that all the Imam needs, who can hold a weapon in a battle? And keep in mind, because this is probably being broadcast, when I talk about the revolution of the 12th Imam, this is a human revolution. It's about Muslims working with people of other religions. Right? The 12th Imam will not come to kill other people. The 12th Imam will work along with the Christians, with the Jews, other religions, people who are looking for peace on earth. They may come into Islam. They may follow the Imam, but the goal of the Imam is not annihilation of humanity. The goal of the Imam is to bring about peace and justice on earth. So when I talk about a global revolution of the Imam, or when our hadith talk about a global movement, it's not about, striking fear into people. It's about bringing about peace and justice and reconciliation amongst humanity. How the Imam will do it, that's obviously a different topic. But he will bring about this movement for all of humanity. And if we wish to be a part of that movement, just as those 72 or 100 some odd people were there in Karbala, that we talk about when we say, فَيَا لَيْتَنِي كُنْتُ مَعَكُمْ فَنَفُوزَ مَعَكُمْ, we would have been successful with all of you. We have to see what the Imam is looking for in traits in these individuals. Tonight I'm just going to give you two very brief traits and we'll conclude for tonight. The very first thing that we see, and this is manifest on Shab Ashura, is love and knowledge of the Imam. So the level of ma'rifat, of knowledge that the companions had for Sayyid al-Shuhada, the love they had was tied into their knowledge of the Imam. It wasn't blind following. It wasn't just, oh, he's the grandson of the Prophet, so I'll follow him. No, they knew what they were getting themselves into. When they agreed to leave Medina to go to Mecca, end up in Karbala, they knew exactly what was going to happen. They knew the Imam, they knew his status, they knew that this was a one-way trip. They weren't coming back to Medina after this journey towards their eventual demise. And Lady Zainab alayhi salam, when the night of Ashura happens, she's talking to Sayyid al-Shuhada in the tent. You've all heard the story, let me paraphrase it. They're in the tent at night, Shab Ashur. And Lady Zainab goes to her brother, Imam Hussain alayhi salam, and she says, do you really think these people, your companions, will be there for you tomorrow? Paraphrasing in our language, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. She was concerned, would these companions, would they really be there tomorrow when the blood starts to flow and the swords begin to be unsheathed and the arrows begin to fly through the air? Will they really stand up for Imam Hussain? Imam Hussain told Lady Zainab that I know my companions. He tells her that I don't know any companions. Inni la a'lamu ashaban awfa. I don't know companions who are more loyal to me than my companions are. Because he saw Rasulullah. He knew that Rasulullah, some of his companions were not loyal. Unfortunately, Quran is clear about this. He saw Amir al-Mu'mineen being killed in Kufa. He knew his companions weren't all loyal. He saw his brother being poisoned. He saw his brother being insulted in Medina. He knew that all of those did not have loyal, trustworthy individuals to rely upon. So Lady Zainab goes back to her tent, and Imam Hussain goes to the tent alayhi salam of the companions who are in one area. Because obviously the family were on one side, the ladies and children. Companions are on another side of the desert. Sayyid al-Shuhada goes to the companions and he basically wants to test them. He knows that they are loyal, but he maybe wants to test them for you and I to get gauges of how we can tell if we are loyal to the cause. He puts forth the proposal, the question. He says, if you want, I'll put out the candle. You go one by one and take one of my family members because the Banu Umayyah don't want you. He says they just want my blood on the day of Ashura. So I'm going to put the candle out. You go one after the other. The bayat is lifted. Don't worry about it. I'm not going to hold you accountable on the day of judgment. The companions, I'll give you just two quotations. The 70-year-old senior citizen, Muslim ibn Awsaja, we've heard his name before. What does he reply to Sayyid al-Shuhada? He says, Aba Abdullah, Mada taqul? Aba Abdullah, what are you saying to us? What are you saying to us that we go away? He says, if they were to cut our bodies with the swords, irba, into pieces. You know when we cook at home and we have a chicken breast or a piece of meat, we cut it into small pieces? This is irba. He says if they were to cut our bodies into small chunks, put all that together, burn our body, take the ashes, throw the ashes in the wind, we were to be brought back to life 70 times over, and this happened every time. He said we would never stop giving, we would never give up stopping helping you, Abu Abdullah. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Can we say that we have that level of connection to the 12th Imam? That we would be willing to give up our lives, not once or twice, but 70 times over, for the sake of Imam Al-Hujjah? We said, Ya laytani kuntu ma'akum fanafuza ma'akum. Oh Hussein, if we were with you, we would have been successful. Are we ready to say that to the 12th Imam? Muslim ibn Awsaja was a 70-year-old man. He wasn't worried about retirement and his grandkids and playing in the park and kicking a ball. He was serious in his submission to Allah. And I'll give you one last example before I move on. Zuhair ibn Aqain. Zuhair, another man who is showing his prowess and bravery on the night of Ashura. Again, that same question is put to him. Are you willing, or do you want to leave the tent tonight and go and be free? You don't have to be here. The bayat is lifted. Zuhair says, Ya Aba Abdullah, Mada naqulu li jaddika Rasulillah. Oh Abu Abdullah, tomorrow what will we say to your grandfather Rasulullah? What will we answer to your grandfather? And he goes a step further. Mada naqula li ummika Fatima az-Zahra. What will we say to your mother Fatima Zahra alayha salam when she asks us, why did you leave my son Hussein alone on the day of Ashura? Imagine a man with that conviction that he can say, what kind of a response would we give? That we left the son of the daughter of the messenger alone, messenger of Allah alone. He says, La wallah. That is impossible for us to do. We would never even think about it. So point number one is, do we have that level of knowledge and love of our 12th Imam? That we are ready to give up our lives. He's not asking for that today. He's asking for other sacrifice. Are we ready to give that up for the sake of the message of Rasulullah? Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And the second point I'll conclude with this is another trait we see in the companions, which is seriousness in their worship. Their ibadah, they took it seriously. You know, on the night of Ashura, again, when the companions were in their tent, the ladies and children were in their own tent, the family of the Prophet had their own area. When you look at the books of Maqtal, the writers who wrote the tragedy of Karbala, like, for example, Sayyid ibn Ta'wus in his book Al-Luhuf fi Qatr al-Tufuf, which is available in English, when he quotes the hadith of the scene or the scenario on Shab Ashura, what were the people doing? Were they crying for their sins? What were they doing on night of Ashura? He said that you could hear a sound, dawi'un kad dawi'un nahal. It was like the buzzing of the bees. You've heard bees before, I'm sure. You've seen these National Geographic documentaries, bees and the sound that they make. They quote the companions as being in that sound. Some were in Quran, some were in ruku, some were in sajda. They're all busy in ibadat. They're going to be killed in 12 hours, 10 hours. Why worry about a 2 rakat namaz or some Quran or a dua? Right? You could be doing anything on that last few days or few hours of their life, but they're busy worshiping Allah. But it doesn't stop there, because the day of Ashura dawns, and a companion named Abu Thamama As-Sa'idi, we've heard his name before, I'm sure. Abu Thamama, very well-known companion. We're told that it's the middle of the day, and he looks up at the sun, and he sees the sun on the decline. The zawal begins, the sun begins to decline. And as we know, that's the time for dhuhr to begin. So he looks at the sun and he sees it declining. He says to Imam Hussain, he says, Ya Abu Abdullah, may I be sacrificed for you. He says, I see that these enemies are drawing closer to you moment by moment. He says, I swear to God that you will not fight them until I fight them and I die defending you. But he doesn't stop there. He says, before I die and I'm drenched in my own blood, I want to meet Allah after having prayed my salat behind you in Jama'at. Imagine you're about to die in a few minutes and you're worried about prayers. But not only prayers, but you're worried about Jama'at prayers. Ajib, it's amazing to think that Abu Thamama is worried about salat on the day of Ashura. And we look at our communities, our centers, and we have Jama'at namaz in our own communities, and one person shows up, and that's the person who's leading the prayers. Okay, Monday to Friday we work, we can't come to the center, fine. What's your excuse for Maghrib? Maghrib 7, 8, 9, 10. You have to pray anyway. People say, well, the center is too far, I can't make it. Are you coming on a donkey to the center? We're driving $100,000 luxury cars, and yet we say we can't come to the center because it's too far. Wow. I wonder what would have happened if Abu Thamama told that to Imam Hussain, you know what, it's a bit too hot outside. Let's just cancel the prayers, Imam, and we have an excuse, we're going to die. So who cares, right? It's just one prayer after all. But he was punctual to the point where he was worried about Jamaat namaz. And we have Jamaat namaz, and there are days when nobody shows up in the centers. Right? We say we can pray at home. Okay, fine, pray your namaz at home. We have majlis, you can listen to the majlis. This is being streamed live right now on the internet. You could listen to it, so why are you here tonight? Matam, you could do matam from home. Ya Hussain, Ya Hussain. I can do it at home in my basement if I felt like it. But we have centers for a reason, right? Otherwise we should sell them. Have the Maulana in a video studio with a high-tech, high-speed video connection with nice cameras. And he can broadcast, and you can sit at home and watch the majlis on your 55-inch Samsung Plasma 3D virtual reality TV. But we neglect the centers, unfortunately, everywhere, not just Edmonton. This is one problem here, but we have this problem across Canada in many of our communities. People don't show up. Namaz time, nobody's there. Majlis time, 2 people are there. Dua tawassul, 1 person is there. But Abu Thamama, look at the man. Let's pray Jamaat namaz, Imam Hussain. I'm ready to die. And I'll end with this last point that Imam Hussain says, ذَكَرْتَ الصَّلَاةِ جَعَلَكَ مِنَ الْمُسَلِّينَ الذَّاكِرِينَ. You remembered the namaz? May Allah make you of the musalleen, of those who pray, who remember Allah. A man who, again, was waiting for the time of namaz to come so he could pray Jamaat with Imam Hussain before he's killed. And I'll conclude with this, that as they approached the time and they began the namaz, you know that arrows were still coming at them, right? Their war was still full-fledged battle. A companion stands up and says, Imam Hussain, I'll take every arrow that comes towards you. Imagine he's standing in front of the Imam. As arrows are being shot, he is taking every arrow in his body. So Imam Hussain can pray a 2 rakat Salatul Khawf, a 2 rakat prayer of the Jamaat in special wartime circumstance, and he's taking arrow after arrow after arrow into his body. And they say when the namaz is done, this guy, he's gone. He took all the arrows so Imam Hussain could preserve that 2 rakat namaz. And for a Shia of Ali, for a Hussaini, for a Zainabi, to miss Jamaat namaz, to not pray namaz at home on time, to say I'm at school, I'm at work, I'm shopping, I'm in a movie, there's a good TV show on, there's a good drama on, I'll pray after the movie's finished. Where do we stand with our 12th Imam when we delay our prayers and Abu Thumama is ready to die on the day of Ashura for the Salat? Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. As these are the nights and days that we commemorate the tragedy of the women and children of Karbala, let me take us back in the last 2 minutes to the prison in Sham, to the Darbar, to the Zindan in Sham, in the court of cursed Yazid. We know that after the Kafala arrived in Sham, which was on the 1st or 2nd of the month of Safar, they left Karbala on the 12th of Muharram. They spent 3 or 4 days in Kufa. 17 days it takes them to walk all the way to Sham, to the cursed city of Sham. As we know that they spent 3 days waiting at the gates to be led into the city. Eventually, as the Ahl Haram walk into the bazaar of Sham, that same bazaar that we've walked through many times before when we go for ziyarat, eventually after all of the pomp and glory that the cursed Yazid had put forth in the display, after the khutbahs of Lady Zainab and of the khutbahs of Imam Zainul Abidin, after all of this, they were finally thrown into that dark and dirty dungeon in Sham. And as we know that for days and nights they passed their time in there, the historians of Maktal mention that as the day would dawn and Bibi Sakina would look out through the prison windows and she would see the blue sky, she would see birds flying by, she would turn to her aunt Lady Zainab and say, "Oh, my aunt Bibi Zainab." She says, "Where are those birds going?" Bibi Zainab would say, "Those birds are going back to their nest, they're going back to their home." The young 4 or 5-year-old Bibi Sakina says, "Oh, my aunt, when will we go back home to Medina? When will we go back to our own hometown?" What can Bibi Zainab say? She knows that this is not going to happen. Brothers and sisters, eventually days and nights pass. Eventually a point comes where Lady Sakina is in the prison asleep. She's in a sleep and she sees her father, Imam Hussain alayhi salam. The same father that she used to sleep on his chest to go to sleep. That same father that would comfort her and take care of her on those nights. She sees her father in her dream, and her father says, "Don't worry, my daughter, you'll be coming back to us very shortly. We're waiting for you at the pool of Kawthar." Eventually she wakes up and she begins to tell her Aunt Zainab, she begins to tell the ladies, and she tells Imam Zainul Abidin that, "Where is my father? I just saw my Baba Hussain." They tell her that, "No, maybe you've seen a dream." She thinks that this is a reality. She's screaming and crying for her father. She says, "Uridu Abi, I want my father, I want my father." This noise begins to travel to the palace of Yazid, which is just over top of the dungeon. He's awoken and he hears this young child screaming for her father. One of the enemies comes into the house of Yazid, to the room of Yazid. He tells Yazid that the young child wants her father. The cursed Yazid said, she wants her father so bad, here, take the head and give it to the girl. We're told that they put the head on a silver tray and they cover the tray with another cover. The prison guard takes the plate to the young girl. He opens the door. The children look at that plate. Maybe they think there's some food on that plate. Maybe there's some fruits. Maybe there's something to eat, something to drink in this dungeon. As Lady Sakina lifts up the cover over that plate, she sees the severed head of her father, Abu Abdullah, on that plate. She begins to grasp the head and begins to hug and kiss the head of her father. She says, "Oh, my dear father, who is it that has severed the head from your body? Oh, my dear father, who is it that has covered your beard and you're in the blood? Why is your beard so red?" Bibi Sakina is hugging and kissing the head of her father. Immediately she falls silent. She falls silent and the 4th Imam goes to wake her up. Maybe she's passed out. As the 4th Imam goes to wake her, he realizes that Sakina is no more. Sakina has taken that farewell. She's gone back to Allah. She's gone back to her father Hussain. Hussain is there to welcome her, for her to sleep on his chest one last time. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون إن لله وإنا إليه راجعون. ماتم حسين.